Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into one of the most studied and revered texts in human history. We are breaking down a highly structured, remarkably safe methodology for navigating the Quran. Whether you're completely new to this text or you've been peeling back its layers for decades, establishing a solid, reliable framework for your learning journey is absolutely essential. It's really all about finding that perfect, delicate path between deep personal inspiration and rigorous historical accuracy. So it all starts with a pretty fundamental question, right? Can we actually study the Quran completely on our own? It's that classic push and pull between personal accessibility and traditional authority. Do you need to be a lifelong academic, or is the text open for independent discovery? Well, the source material gives us a profoundly nuanced answer. But to truly grasp it safely, we've got to master both the technical mechanics of reading the text and the internal mindset we bring to it. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today's exploration. First, establishing the foundation of understanding. Second, finding logic and connections between verses. Third, relying on the crucial role of scholars' guidance. And finally, avoiding transgression. Starting right off with Section 1, Foundation of Understanding, or building a strong base. The absolute crucial anchor here is this concept called mukmat. Basically, these are the crystal clear, unambiguous foundational verses of the text. Think of them as the ultimate constitution. They establish the definitive, unbreakable rules. The source explicitly emphasizes that whatever nuanced inspiration or independent interpretation you might draw from the more allegorical parts of the text, it must never, ever contradict these core mukmat verses. They're literally the gravity that keeps your entire theological understanding from just floating off into wild, ungrounded speculation. Without them, the whole structure just collapses. All right, with that anchor firmly set, we move right into Section 2, Logic and Connection of Verses, Connecting the Message. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact three-step methodology the source lays out to keep our logic totally sound. Step 1, like we just established, never contradict that clear muhkamat foundation. Step 2, don't read verses in isolation. Always hunt for other relevant verses to get a panoramic view. The text is deeply interconnected, so a standalone reading usually misses the bigger picture. And step 3, deeply analyze the logical consequences of your interpretation. If reading a verse one way leads to a conclusion that breaks another rule, well, you know your logic has a flaw. Grasping that cause and effect dynamic, it is absolutely vital. You see, when you can successfully map out the logical consequences of a specific verse, finding analogies and connecting them to similar contexts becomes incredibly intuitive. And why does this matter for you? Because it actively prevents cherry picking. It literally makes sure that when you arrive at a conclusion, your reasoning is firmly rooted in the text's holistic ecosystem, rather than just some standalone quote pulled totally out of context. Which brings us to Section 3. The crucial role of scholars' guidance, keeping the learning on track. First off, we have to establish this beautifully welcoming premise from the source material. The Quran really is for anyone to study. There are absolutely zero gatekeepers here. You don't need decades of formal academic study just to open the book and begin. Whether you're a curious beginner or a brand new convert, you are actively invited to read, reflect, and draw profound personal inspiration. It's meant to be deeply engaging for everyone. Now, what's really interesting about this is how that incredible accessibility has to be carefully balanced. Imagine a super bright creative learner. Their mind is just buzzing with connections, finding entirely new ways to look at ancient phrasing. Yet, even the most enlightened student still needs the grounded oversight of an experienced mentor or an established scholar. Why? Because unchecked personal logic can easily veer off track. We are absolutely meant to be inspired, for sure. But we have to stay self-aware that our individual understanding is always going to be somewhat limited compared to centuries of established scholarship. Moving into our fourth and final section, do not transgress the limits. The importance of humility. The source material really doesn't shy away from warning us about a lack of humility. Take chapter 72, verse 4. It explicitly links being foolish or ignorant with speaking outrageous, overstepping words against the divine. The warning here is stark. When we pair just a little bit of knowledge with a whole lot of arrogance, we cross highly dangerous boundaries. Ignorance isn't just a lack of facts. It becomes a literal transgression when we confidently speak on matters we haven't actually mastered. We see this caution built out even further in chapter 52, which asks if people are simply being commanded by their own unchecked minds, leading them to transgress. It's a profound critique of overly liberal, completely unguided independent thought. Look, our personal intellect and logic are amazing tools, but they have to operate within firm, established boundaries. If we just let our minds dictate meaning without any tethered historical context, we aren't studying the text anymore, we're just projecting ourselves onto it. But, amidst all these heavy warnings, the text takes this beautifully empathetic turn. Mistakes in the learning process are pretty much inevitable. Chapter 39 offers this incredible reassurance, directly addressing those who have overstepped. It says, "Do not despair of the mercy of Allah. Indeed, Allah forgives all sins." It's such a comforting reminder. If your pursuit of knowledge is honest, and you happen to stumble or misinterpret something, that genuine effort is met with boundless mercy, not immediate punishment. Receiving that mercy, though, requires a very specific posture. The very next verse tells us to return to your Lord and submit to him. Essentially, it's about dismantling our own ego. It's stripping away that arrogance that makes us think we know better than the text itself, and bringing ourselves back to a state of pure intellectual surrender. We have to be willing to just admit when our logic has failed and gracefully accept correction. So what does that surrender actually look like in action? Well, the following verse lays it out. "And follow the best of what was revealed to you." True humility isn't just sitting around feeling lowly. It's an active, urgent commitment. It means dedicating yourself to studying and applying the guidance properly, utilizing the best available scholarship before our time runs out. It's a call to immediate, continuous, guided action. Bringing this whole explainer together, here is the absolute core highlight of our analysis today. Navigating the Quran safely requires a really delicate balance. We absolutely must use clear, unambiguous verses as our foundation and connect them logically. We are highly encouraged to seek deep personal inspiration. But the vital key to unlocking true wisdom is realizing our own limits, drawing that inspiration with deep self-awareness, and constantly referring back to the Prophet and established scholars. It's the perfect marriage of rigorous intellect and profound humility. I want to leave you with something to really chew on. Have we placed humility above our own logic when studying? It is so incredibly easy to just fall in love with our own intellect and our own clever interpretations, isn't it? But as we've discovered today, the safest, most profound understanding only happens when we intimately know our limits. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep reflecting and keep passionately learning.